So look at this. See, in this slide, I said responsibility of a consultant is to configure and customize SAP to suit the business process requirements of client's company. See, this is a very interesting statement to understand. See, if you observe, I explained these two terms in the second paragraph, those two words, configuration and customization. See, the word configuration refers to creation of new objects in SAP system, right guys? In any accounting system or in any ERP system, if I want to post entries and maintain my information system, I need to create the enterprise structure first, like company, branches, plants, warehouses, all these objects. And there are certain other supporting objects that are required. So when you create a new object, we generally refer to that as configuration. Whereas if you are creating or if you are making changes to an existing object, then we call that as customization. Right guys? So precisely that is what we are supposed to do. Right? We are supposed to do configuration and customization of SAP. That means we have to either create new objects or make use of existing objects after making those few modifications to adapt them to suit our requirements. Right guys? So this is what we are supposed to do, and you can talk to me if you have any questions on. See, if a client approaches us with a request to develop a solution for them, we need to understand their business process, guys. See, understanding business process in the sense understanding their business as such, right? Their business model, revenue model, their bottlenecks, everything. So if I want to understand his business and his bottlenecks, constraints, limitations, I need to understand their business processes, right? As you are already familiar with, business process is nothing but the step-by-step procedure used to carry out a business activity. For example, my client is following the 10 steps procedure to procure a new raw material. So I need to understand that 10 steps procedure first. And then look at the second example. If they are following a 14 steps procedure to hire a new employee, I need to understand that 14 steps procedure. Right? So understanding their business processes is the first thing that we are supposed to do. Remember guys, see, if required, we may have to go for a small but important exercise called BPR. BPR stands for Business Process Re-engineering. Right? As we are already familiar with, the objective of any enterprise in the world is to get maximum profit out of their investment. See, we can get maximum profits only when we put our resources to optimum use. Right? Any enterprise, any company generally has those four. So as I told you guys, to deploy our resources properly, efficiently, I need to do this exercise called business process re-engineering. See, for example, my current business process used for material procurement is consuming 12 working days. And our client company management says they cannot afford 12 working days for procuring a raw material. They want to get things done in 6 working days. See, the idea is not to eliminate certain activities. That is not what we are looking at. See, by undertaking activities simultaneously, right? For example, there are 10 steps. If I can take up step number 4 and 5 simultaneously, right? I can reduce the time frame from 12 working days to 10, 9, 8 like this. So I'll be redesigning the steps in the process. I'll be restructuring the steps in the process that I don't compromise on the quality of the business process, and at the same time I'll be able to reduce the cycle time to 6 working days. Right? Efficiency of the process itself will not be able to get maximum output. Right? See, I always compare this business process with a rubber stamp that we used to use for affixing addresses on envelopes. Do you remember? Some 10-20 years back, our office employees used to use rubber stamps to put address on envelopes. So if there is a spelling mistake in the rubber stamp, he'll be repeating that mistake whenever that stamp is used for putting address on the envelope. So business process is also something like that. So if there is inefficiency or redundancy, right, in the business process, we'll be wasting our resources, very precious resources, every time that we use the business process. So that is why it becomes important for us to improve the process efficiency first. Right? If my client has, for example, 1500 business process, it is very important for me to understand every single business process, redesign every process wherever possible, redesign or restructure the business process, and only then we can get maximum productivity from our resources, right? So before we implement SAP, or for that matter any ERP for our client company, we need to make sure that all business processes are very efficient. And then let me introduce another term also here, not that you are not familiar. Look at this. People say that information is power. So now we want to empower our client company employees with this, information. See, we are all familiar with this fact that results always depend on the quality of decisions we take, and the quality of decisions we take depends on the quality of information we have with us. So it is important for us to as consultants, it is important for us to provide right information to our employees at right time so that they can take right decisions. When I say our employees, I'm referring to our client company's employees. Right, guys? Every employee has information requirements to take better business decisions. So as part of implementation of SAP solution for client, we'll also be developing an information system in the company which takes care of information requirements of everyone, almost all the employees in the entire company hierarchy, right? So if you observe, we are doing two important things here. On one hand, we are making sure that every single business process is the best practice possible. Every business process is, very efficient. Every process delivers the best results. This is what is happening on one hand. On the other hand, we are making sure that every decision taken is the best possible decision, right? So if these two things happen in any business, right, you are rest assured that everything will be delivering its best. Every resource will be put to optimum use. You will naturally get maximum productivity from your resources, which leads to maximum profitability. And that is what is the objective of any enterprise, right? And look at this term here, guys. See, we call this a software as ERP software because this software helps enterprises in planning their resource utilization. Right? When I said resources, I'm talking about those 4 M's. So because resource utilization is taken care of, right, your enterprise objectives are, achieved. Because this software is helping in planning their resource utilization, we are giving this name ERP for this software, right? And I'll be sharing this entire content in a Word document with you guys. And look at these important facts about the company. SAP is a German company incorporated in their 1972, right? Even today it is #1 company in ERP segment, whereas as a software company it is the 4th largest software company in the world. And see, as I already said, SAP is treated as an enterprise level application. We call this as enterprise level application because every department in the company, right from planning department to purchases to production, sales, every department will be using this software. And in every department, again, people at all levels, right from a data entry operator to executives to managers to top management, head of the department, everyone will be using, including the board of directors, chairman, right? People at all levels in the company will be using this software, to carry out their business. So because every department and every employee at every level is using this application, we call this as enterprise level application. And we know the limitations of human beings. A person cannot understand and work with all the modules. Forget about all the modules. One person cannot work with 2-3 departments. So that is the reason why this product is divided into smaller parts called modules. Right, guys? Module, as we know, is a small part. See, but when they divided this into smaller parts, they have taken business functions as basis. We know there are several functions in business, like planning is a function, production is a function, accounting is a function. Every business function is identified as a module here, and that is the reason why we call them as functional modules. Right, guys? There are around 50 functional modules in the current version. Of course, they are all not very big as FICO and other functional modules like MM and SD. There are so many smaller modules. And when we learn, we are supposed to learn only one module. FI and CO technically, though they are two separate modules, right? Because those two modules are used together in businesses, we also learn them, right? So we don't generally learn MM, SD, and other modules like HR, right? We restrict our scope of knowledge to one module. Specializing in one module is a good idea than pursuing other modules. Look at this list of important modules, guys. So FI, CO, as I said, there are two separate modules. Then we have SD, MM, PP, PS, HCM. I gave these names only for your general understanding. And then look at these technical modules. We are supposed to understand these two terms, ABAP and BASIS. Guys, ABAP is the name of the programming language using which entire SAP product is developed, right? We are all familiar with programming languages like C, C++, Java, VB, .NET, all those things. ABAP also is a programming language like all of them. But ABAP is a proprietary language, SAP's own language used for SAP products only, whereas C, C++ can be used for developing any kind of solution. ABAP is only for SAP products. Right? As part of this course, we'll be exposed to tools that are available in ABAP, in ABAP also. See, let me tell you that we are not going to learn coding. Coding is not, our scope of work. So we learn those few things in ABAP just to know when to get in touch with ABAP, or when do I get in touch with BASIS consultant and all that stuff. We need to know what are the tools available. That is the only reason why we included basic stuff in ABAP and BASIS also. Consultants who take care of installing SAP software, maintaining user IDs, database tables, all that stuff, they are known as BASIS consultants. So in your work, if you have anything to do with programming, you need to get in touch with your ABAPer, programmer. Anything to do with databases, user IDs, authors, talk to your BASIS consultant, right? Good, guys. And then, see, the version that we are learning is called PHP 5. I'll give you meaning of all these terms a bit later. Right? This technology that we are using now is based on R3 architecture, right? And the core is Enterprise Central Component. I'll explain these two terms also a bit later today. And for our convenience, I've divided the entire content into 4 parts. Look at those 4 parts. First, we'll be learning FI module, and then CO module. After completing CO module, we'll be learning integration of FI CO with MM and SD. Right? As part of certain amount of MM configuration and SD configuration, content is so designed to make sure that even if you claim some experience, you'll be able to answer 90% of the questions in it. We'll be taking up a case study. So where we'll be using the tools that we actually use in our office. See, as part of implementing SAP for a client, we'll be maintaining so many documents. In IT projects, documentation is a very important responsibility. So we'll be learning the process also. We deal with several documents like as-is document, to-be document, business blueprint document, and all that stuff. So under the heading project, we are going to see all that process. Guys, in FI module, again we have broadly 3 topics to be covered. First we need to create enterprise structure. As I already told you, in SAP system also we need to create company, branches, plants, all those things. That we are going to learn under the heading enterprise structure. And then we have these 4 components with names: general ledger, accounts payable, accounts receivable, and asset accounting. And that there are only 4 components. It's a watertight classification of business transactions, right? Observe this. See, everything related to vendors or purchases is covered in accounts payable component. Everything related to sales or customers is covered in accounts receivable component. Everything related to fixed assets, remember, only fixed assets, is covered in asset accounting, and all remaining transactions in general ledger, right? See, all remaining transactions as in rent, salaries, stationery, audit fees, royalties, everything else. I don't have to specify, right? So let me explain this classification again. everything related to vendors and purchases in accounts payable, everything related to sales and customers in accounts receivable, everything related to fixed assets, right from acquisition, sales, scrapping, depreciation, everything related to assets in asset accounting component, and rest of the stuff in general ledger component. That's the concept. And then at the end of the module, in reports component, we'll be dealing with our financial statements, profit and loss statement, balance sheet, cash flow, funds flow, all the reports. There are thousands of reports that are available readily in SAP system. So we'll be learning how to use those reports, how to map SAP functionality with client's requirements, and we'll also learn a tool called Report Painter, using which we can create our own reports. Right, guys? So with this kind of curriculum, we can handle any kind of interview very comfortably. Even when you claim, 6 or 7 years of experience in US, we know unless you claim 6 or 7 years of experience, you'll not be able to get shortlisted also. So this content is designed to achieve our objectives. Look at this content in controlling module. So typically, these are the 6 components that we learn as part of the curriculum. Cost element accounting, cost center accounting, order management, profit center accounting, product costing, and profitability analysis. Before we start controlling module, I'll give you a curtain raiser, an overview of every component, how each of these components contribute to productivity, profitability, and all that stuff. And then let us understand the term integration here. See, in any case, in any technology, integration means connecting, right? So different software products are connected with each other with an objective of sharing information, right? See, in FICO, sharing takes place in a very efficient and in fact effective way. Let me give you one example. See, once we integrate FI with MM, we can get automatic postings in FI module for business transactions posted in MM module, right, guys? So business transactions like a goods receipt, or issue of material to production, or transfer of material from one plant to another plant, right? In all these cases, guys, remember, user sitting in purchases department will be creating basic transactions. Now he enters very few details like name of the material, name of the vendor, quantity he is receiving, and other relevant stuff. He will never talk about accounting entry. He doesn't specify GL account number or anything. But system understands that the business transaction that is getting posted in MM module is relevant to accounting and creates purchase entry automatically in respective accounts. See, people, when I give seminars, they ask me, like, why SAP is superior than other ERPs. I would rate this integration as the reason number 1. Right? No other ERP offers this kind of functionality. Every ERP talks about integration, but not the kind of integration that SAP offers. No, literally every single entry is created by system for us in FI module when business transactions are posted in other functional modules like MM and SD. So, and similarly, guys, one more point before we discuss with integration of FI and SD. Guys, under the heading integration, we don't connect them now. Remember that point. They are already connected with each other. Every module is connected to every other module if it is, the other department. Technically, they are already connected with each other. Under the heading integration, we only facilitate automatic sharing of information, right? In exact terms, we only facilitate creation of entries automatically in FI module and of course the CO module, right? Information is passed on to FI in the form of an entry probably, and in CO, in most of the cases, relevant reports get updated, right? So that is the advantage of integration in SAP system. Now let us talk about FI SD integration. Again, when we connect FI and SD modules, when business transactions are posted like sales order, sales, delivery, etc., user will be creating basic details only, like name of the customer, name of the product, quantity, etc. System takes care of valuing that material, right? It also takes care of taxes, discounts, commissions, incentives, etc. And accordingly, it creates entries in FI and CO modules, right? That's a very beautiful mechanism. It is not as simple as we just talk about it. If you observe that process, you'll be surprised how it handles all these different types of taxes, right? Country-specific taxation system is available. right guys? And then, as I told you, after integration, we'll be working with a case study to learn the process of implementing SAP for a client, right? See, like my client is doing his business for making money, I'm implementing SAP for my client to make money. So unless I do this work properly, I'll not be able to make some profit out of it, right? So that is the reason why SAP has come up with this process of implementing SAP. There's a methodology using which we have to complete the project. So as part of this course, we'll be learning that methodology also. This methodology has 5 broad phases, right? We call that as ASAP methodology, right? So we'll be fairly decently exposed to all those phases. So see, this knowledge not only helps you in interview, in your work also, you'll be able to deal with your deliverables better because you know what is supposed to, to be followed, which process is to be followed there. And before we actually take up our curriculum, I just wanted to explain this term real-time processing. We use this word, but we need to understand this concept using a small example. Guys, there are 2 methods of processing data in the world, right? Batch processing and real-time processing. Remember, as service provider, if you are responding to every request as and when it is received, then you are doing a real-time processing, right? Whereas if you are receiving requests and putting them in batches, and if you are doing it, if you are serving your customers as batches, then you are doing a batch processing. Classic example for real-time processing is a bank. So if I want to deposit money in my bank, I just walk into my bank, deposit that money. So the executive there attends to me, right? He never asks me to wait for 10 customers to come. He doesn't say that, right? So if he's saying that, then he's doing a batch processing. If he's attending to me as I walk into the bank, that's a real-time thing, right? Similarly, classic example to understand word batch processing is your FedEx or any courier or cargo service provider. See, during the daytime, he receives all the envelopes to be sent abroad or sent to other cities. End of the day, collectively he will be processing all of them, right? They'll be processed to their destinations. It is not that every envelope is dispatched to the destination as and when it is received. No, during daytime they just receive them, and end of the day they process them, right? So then we call that as batch processing. So if you are processing requests as batches, you are doing batch processing. If you are attending to every request as and when it is received, then you are doing real-time processing. Observe that, guys. Right? So I gave these 2 examples here, so we can refer to these examples in the material as well. And guys, we use the term R3 as the core of SAP module, SAP software. See, when we say 3, in fact, we are referring to the 3-tier architecture that we are using in the infrastructure. See, our SAP server has these 3 components: application server, database server, and presentation server. Guys, application server is that part of the infrastructure where SAP software is installed, right guys? SAP software. Whereas the database server is that part of the infrastructure that holds data created by users, right? Users will be creating accounts, posting entries, compiling reports and all that stuff. So the server which holds the data is referred to as database server, whereas a machine or a computer that holds or that hosts a front-end tool which enables users to connect to the server is always referred to as presentation server, or in our day-to-day language, client, right? So there are 2 types of machines in a network typically: servers and clients. Server is generally a machine that hosts some data or software, whereas client system is a machine that depends on the server for software or information, guys. So that is the basic difference. So in our case, we have these 3 types of machines called application servers, database servers, and presentation servers, right? So if you have any questions on this term, let me know. But we don't have to get expertise on all these terms. Just understand these terms as we work with. We understand. I mean, these words, most of them are self-explanatory. Unlike we have 3 types of servers, we also have 3 types of client systems, right? Typically, these 3 types of client systems are used: development client, testing or quality assurance client and production client. See, this development client system is used by developers like us, all these functional and technical consultants, FI, CO, SD, MM, HR, ABAP basis, right? All these guys will be using development client system to develop the application. Whereas our testing colleagues, no, they are hired only to test the application. They don't know how to develop the application or even how to use it. They are familiar with, they know only testing. So they will be using this machine called testing client. Whereas our client company employees will be using our production system, right? So once we complete the development process and testing process as well, then our client system employees will be, using this machine for posting actual business transactions, right, guys? So that machine is called as production client. So I gave one-liners on these terms also. But remember, see, when they log in, user provides client number also along with username and password. So basing on the client number only, system understands whether the user is a developer, tester, or a user, right? So in this example, look at this example. I gave 800 for development client system, 801 to testing, and 802 to production system. So when I log into my machine, if I use client number 800, then system understands, or system treats me as a developer and lets me develop the application. Whereas if I use 801, system thinks that a tester logged in and allows me to test it, right? And if 802 is used while logging in, it allows me to create business transactions in my company. It's like that. And you can find those one-liners here. And look at these two terms, front-end tool and back-end tool. As I told you, we'll be using the SAP GUI as front-end tool, right, guys? Like we use a browser to navigate or to access content in websites. In our case also, we use a small tool called SAP GUI to log into the system, to create business transactions, to generate reports and all that stuff, right? And there's a backend tool that is working behind the screen. Typically, a relational database is used, right? Any RDBMS in the world can be used as a backend tool, right? Whenever a user creates a transaction, system will be creating entry in the database, right? But remember, guys, we don't have to learn any RDBMS. Our basis consultant deals with this database thing. We don't have to even know which database is being used, right? So that is completely taken care of by basis consultants.